Hi, my name is Giselle Chavez, and I used the story Women Hollering Creek to create a found poem. I'm going to use this PowerPoint to read that poem to you, and then I'm going to break down each stanza to not only relate it to what was going on in the story, but to show you what kind of perspective I wanted to take as the writer of this poem. To start reading. Waiting for passion and great love, separation and betrayal, and loving, always loving. Soledad Dolores, he had said and she had laughed. Speechless, motionless, numb. Heat on her mouth, blood on her hand. She didn't understand. Good man, she loves him. If she had any brains, she would realize. This man, this father, this rival, this keeper, this lord, this master, this husband, till kingdom come. Hot well across her cheek, stung, anxious, ashamed. Half fear, half doubt, amazed, then began laughing again. These words are used to reflect back to the shows that she would watch. In those shows, the characters would experience and go through hard times, but in the end, they always had a happily ever after. This just shows us what kind of life she envisioned for herself. She wanted to move far away, she wanted to be loved, and she wanted to experience that passion. Story Soledad and Dolores are names of her neighbors, and I feel like the author, not only uses them to tell her story, but just to foreshadow what happens later on in the story. And that's how I use them in my poem as well. Soledad translates to the word solitude, which is a synonym for loneliness, which is something that our main character experiences. Dolores basically means hurt. So I use that to foreshadow what's happening. The next two lines show what's going on now. He had said and she had laughed. She is following him, and they are still, newlywed, and they're happy. Nothing has happened yet. At this point, the story is continuing to develop. We can see that her husband has hit her. The heat on her mouth, blood on her hand, shows us her physical damage. He has physically laid his hand on her. Speechless, motionless, her not understanding, shows us her internal feelings. The word numb is also very important here. You can be numb physically if you are hurt, and you can be numb emotionally when you don't understand what's going on. Her husband that she chose to love, that she chose to marry, has raised his hand and hit her. So we can see how she is numb both ways. Here we can see her internal conflict. In the story, the words good man and she loves him are used to show that she has to remind herself that she actually does love her husband, that she is the one that chose to marry him, and that he is a good man despite what he does for her. In this poem, it's just used to show how victims of domestic violence still have attraction and affection towards their abusers. The last two lines, if she had any brains, she would realize, in the story are used by her husband to verbally abuse her. He says if she had any brains, she would realize all that he does for her and for their family. In my poem, it's used to say if she had any brains, if she could get a hold of her emotion and think clearly, she would realize that that home is dangerous for her and that she needs to get out. So this is directly from the story, and it just shows the position that her husband has in her life. It starts with this man, this father, which when you hear father, you think positive, loving. And then it goes on to say this rival, which is her enemy, something she works against. This keeper, which makes her dependent upon him. this Lord, this master, this Lord means that he is greater than her. This master meaning that she becomes a slave. And it ends with this husband till kingdom come. The word husband has a positive connotation. Again, you think someone loving. But then it says till kingdom come, which tells us that she is trapped. To see that even though she's been dealing with her internal emotions, she's been having an internal conflict, she's still having an external conflict. Her husband is still beating her, she's still physically feeling pain. I use the word stung because I just feel like it's a very strong word. If you've ever been hit by something and it stings, and I feel like it's used externally and internally. It's a word that when something stings, it feels like it penetrates further than the skin. And I think that that's what she's feeling at this point. I use the word anxious because she doesn't know what's going to be of her life. She doesn't know where to go from here. And I use the word ashamed because the situation she is very humiliating. And she's ashamed that she has gotten to this point. In the story, half fear and half doubt are used when she's leaving her husband and she is afraid that he will show up and catch her, trying to escape. In my poem, I wanted to use half fear because this woman that is leaving is scared about what will be of her life now, or if she's actually making the right decision. She doubts her choices, and she doesn't know if maybe the right thing is to stay. Maybe they can make it work. The word amazed is used in the story because the woman is amazed by the lady who is giving her a ride. She's amazed by her independence and by how free she is. But in my poem, I just wanted the readers to think about how amazing it is that in this life you can do anything, that she is able to leave, to pick up and begin again. For the last line, then began laughing again. In the story, it's actually talking about the lady giving her a ride. She's the one that laughs. But in the poem, I feel like ending it with laughter will show us that although we don't know what becomes of this woman after she leaves her husband, somewhere deep inside of us, we know that she's going to be okay. And that's the end of my poem. Thank you.